So let's fast forward a few centuries to the origin of Xingqi, or Beijing opera. By this time, all kinds of different theatrical styles were practiced around the country, though none predominated the way Jiaqu or Shuangqi had. In 1790, a bunch of different troupes came to Beijing to celebrate the 80th birthday of Emperor Qianlong. They liked it there, they liked each other, and eventually they combined their regional forms into one awesome new style that was even more powerful: Xingqi, sort of like the Avengers of classical Chinese theater, which is a film franchise I would definitely watch. Officially, there are two kinds of stories in Beijing opera: civil and military, but there's a lot of overlap. Like the earlier dramas, these stories borrow from history, legend, and other works of literature, and they all end happily. The scripts aren't really set texts, but more like bullet points. Great actors are encouraged to make each role their own, and the focus is on acting, singing, and dancing rather than the literary elements. Instead of presenting a full story from start to finish, most evenings consisted of just the high points, with enough narrative and acrobatic interludes to help it all hang together. The stories are elaborate, but the physical staging is minimal. Theaters usually consisted of a raised, roofed platform with a 2-foot-high wall extending around 3 of the sides, and the only set pieces are a table and 2 chairs. But that table and chairs are versatile. Depending upon the way they're arranged, they can represent a wall, a bridge, a tree, a door, a hill, a banquet, a court, whatever you need. There are all kinds of symbolic and codified set and prop elements in Beijing opera. A silver banner represents water, black silk suggests a storm, a whip means you're riding horseback, black gauze means you're having a dream, a couple of yellow silk flags mean you're in a chariot. A bunch of stagehands run around manipulating all of these chairs and banners, but an audience just learns not to see them. As Yorick here has indicated, Beijing opera depends on extravagant makeup and costuming. For a closer look, let's go to the thought bubble. Chinese opera characters are divided into 4 types: Sheng, Dan, Xing, and Chao. But that's not all. There are 7 types of Sheng roles and 6 types of Dan roles. Until the 20th century, Dan roles were played by men in tiny, awkward shoes, and when women took over, they had to learn from the men how to play them. Xing characters, with all the makeup, are gods, demons, courtiers, and thieves. And Chao are clowns who are expected to improvise jokes. Each role had its own pitch and rhythm, and kind of like Sanskrit theater and kabuki theater, each had a bunch of movements associated with characters and moods. There are 20 ways just to point at something. But a lot of the character work is done by costume and makeup. There are 300 types of dress associated with Beijing opera, including 46 headdresses, 47 dresses, 6 types of girdle, and 6 types of shoe, which actually seems like a pretty low number for shoes, to be honest. These costumes are color-coded. Red costumes are for brides and loyal characters, yellow for royal ones, white for old ones and people in mourning. Makeup was color-coded too. Most Sheng and Dan characters started with a white base made with flour that offset darkened brows, reddened lips, and eyes outlined in red. There are more than 250 types of makeup, and the most complex designs are for the Xing characters. Xing faces are pattern-coded and color-coded. Only good characters wear mustaches, and the more white around the eyes, the worse the character. A lot of black, good guy, a lot of purple, outlaw, lots of green, use a demon. Thanks, Thought Bubble. Gah! Use a demon! Beijing opera flourishes for about 150 years, and then communism happens. Communist leaders go through the repertory, tweaking some plays, removing others, and opera stumbles on until the Cultural Revolution, when pretty much all of it is seen as anti-communist and is replaced with new Mao-friendly works like The White-Haired Girl, an opera about a peasant girl who is raped and abducted by a landlord. She escapes, her hair turns white, and then she and her former fiancé are reunited. Like good communists, they redistribute the landlord's farms, an equally distributed happy ending. Come see us next time for English Sentimentality, which is like normal sentimentality, but English. That's right, it's romanticism. But until then, curtain. America from Scratch, a new series that has joined the PBS Digital Studios family, asks some pretty big questions, like, should 12-year-olds be allowed to vote? What if there were no states? Do we even really need a president? The host, Toussaint Morrison, looks at the many ways our country has and hasn't changed since its founding in 1776. Subscribe to America from Scratch at the link below. Crash Course Theater is produced in association with PBS Digital Studios. Crash Course exists thanks to the generous support of our patrons at Patreon. Patreon is a voluntary subscription service where you can support the content you love through a monthly donation and help keep Crash Course free for everyone forever. Thanks for watching.